Welcome back. This is the second class of the citizenship preparation course. Let's go ahead and get ready to do some English reading and writing practice, because practice makes perfect, as the expression goes. I'll point out to you the picture here of the tablet is like the one that you will see during your interview. The reading that you will need to do to pass English will be on a tablet like this. Then they will clear it, and the writing will also be done on the tablet. You will use a writing stylus like this one, or if not available, you'll just have to use your fingertip. When it's time to sign at the end of the interview, it will also be on the same tablet. Now, as we did previously, since I can't hear you, I will read the question aloud so that you can hear the pronunciation, the accent, and copy it. You need to do everything out loud, speaking audibly, so that you can practice. So, first, what is one right in the First Amendment? Please read the question. Good. What is one right in the First Amendment? Now please write. Freedom of speech is one right. Freedom of speech is one right. Write that out on your practice sheet. Freedom of speech is one right. If you're ready, go ahead and correct your work. If yours doesn't match what you wrote down, then make the corrections so that the next time you can remember. Next. Why did people come to America? Please read the question. Good. Why did people come to America? Now please write. People came to be free. People came to be free. All right. Let's check your answer. People came to be free. Next. How many states are there? Please read that question. Good. How many states are there? You may remember that in the first lesson, I gave you a list of words that are often at the beginning of the question. So how many? You know it's a number. Now please write. We have 50 states. We have 50 states. Okay, check your answer. Remember, you can write the word or you can write the number. Okay, next. What is one right that only citizens have? Please read the question. Good. What is one right that only citizens have? Now please write. Only citizens can vote. Only citizens can vote. Okay, check your work. Next. Who was president during the Civil War? Please read the question. Good. Who was president during the Civil War? You know who, it's asking a person. But remember, you're not answering the question right now, you're reading the question. But remember, if you pay attention to the words that you read during the question, there's a good chance that those words will also be included in what you need to write. Maybe not, but pay attention because there's a good chance. Now please write. Lincoln was president during the Civil War. Lincoln was president during the Civil War. And of course, the pictures I have are just to make this review a little bit more interesting for you. Those won't be there to remind you during your actual test. Ready? All right. Make your corrections. And remember what I said, that often some of the words might be part of the answer that you have to give. So pay attention to what you read. Next, we're going to talk about some of the information that you will review during your interview. The interview is not just passing the test. The interview is also talking about the information on the application, the Form N-400. The officer will review that information to make sure it's correct. Will make any changes, corrections, or additions that they need to. And if there's more information they need, they can also ask for more details, more information. So let's look at what some of the questions are, what some of the information is. One section, it says information about you. Sometimes if someone is helping you prepare your application, they get confused and they think this is their information. No. When it says you, it's talking about the person applying for citizenship. So make sure they put, if somebody's helping you, make sure it's your information and not their information on the application. So your current legal name. So if your name is Robert, do not put Bobby, even if that's what everybody calls you. Your legal name is what goes there. And in the spaces, first it will ask for the last name. That's the family name. In many countries, you have two family names that are used. In the next space comes the first name. The name your parents gave to you, John or Sally. And then comes, if you have one, what we call the middle name. Maybe you're John Charles Smith. So John is your first name, Charles is your middle name, Smith is your last name, the family name. If your birth certificate and official documents use two last names, for example, Smith Garcia, then both of those would go there if that's what your legal documents show. Sometimes a person has been married and divorced, and they might have changed the last name that they used. If that's the case, then you want to put what your current legal name is. If you were using one name on all your legal documents while you were married and you got divorced and the judge didn't change it, then it's the same. If the judge said, Sally Smith, at your request, I'm now changing your last name back to Jones, like it was before you were married, then that's what you put. That is your current legal name. Current means right now. Now, in addition, there's a space to put other names you have used since birth. You put whatever is on your birth certificate. You put, if everybody calls you Bobby, this is where nicknames would be included. Other names you have used. Now, one of the questions on the form is, do you want to change your name? And you have to mark yes or no. Now, if you said no, if you checked the no box on the application, the officer might not ask you again during your interview. So if you changed your mind, you need to make sure that you tell the officer, I changed my mind, I want to do a name change. And so then you have to choose the last name or family name that you want, and the first and the middle. If you have used more than one version of the name during your life, don't just tell the officer the same, because you've used more than one. You have to be specific. So if you do a name change, then when you become a citizen, the judge will sign that, and that will be your legal name from that moment on. And that's what you should put on your passport and your social security card and your driver's license and everything else as your legal name. All right, that's enough of the application for the moment. We'll spend a whole hour on that at the end of the courses. That'll be lesson number 10. Let's do some civics test practice now. Remember, you will hear the question first, and you need to answer it. So that's the way we're practicing it here. I want you to listen to it first, answer it speaking if you know the answer, and then I will show the question written for you to help you remember it and help you learn it. We're going to continue with the section that's on the principles of American government. Okay, first question. The words life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are in what founding document? Say the answer if you know it. The words life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are in what founding document? It's a famous phrase in the history of this country, and it is found in the Declaration of Independence. Next question. What is the economic system of the United States? Say the answer if you know it. You probably do. What is the economic system of the United States? There may be more than one correct way to answer it. You don't have to memorize the whole list and repeat it. Capitalism, or you can say free market economy. Next, what is the rule of law? Say the answer if you know it. What is the rule of law? Again, there are several correct ways to answer the question. You just need to remember one of them. You don't need to memorize and repeat everything on the list. You could say everyone must follow the law. You could say leaders must obey the law. You could say the government must obey the law. You can say no one is above the law. All of these are true and correct answers, but you only need to say one. All right. Next question. Many documents influenced the United States Constitution. Name one of them. Hopefully you can. There's a long list. Many documents influenced the U.S. Constitution. Name one. And I'll say a little bit about them as they come up. There's a lot of history here. And I encourage you to learn more history when you get the opportunity. We're just focusing on preparing for the test in this course, though. Okay, the Declaration of Independence is one document that influenced the Constitution. The Articles of the Confederation. So after the United States won their independence from Great Britain, they did not immediately have the form of government that they have now. For some time, they functioned more like 13 independent countries that agreed to work together. But they had their own money, their own laws, and so the governing rules that they had at the time were called the Articles of the Confederation. So naturally, when they wrote the Constitution, they consulted the Articles of Confederation, which they were replacing. They looked at the Federalist Papers. So when the Congress passed the Constitution, they still had to be voted on and supported by the states. And most people didn't know anything about the work that had been done in the Congress in preparing the Constitution, and they were unsure and confused about what was being proposed to them. So several of the prominent leaders of the time wrote articles, and they were printed in a collection called the Federalist Papers. Those were about why the Constitution was a good thing. Now, not everyone agreed. So there were articles also against the Constitution. Those were called the Anti-Federalist Papers. And they also had an impact because they reflected the opinions of some of the people. Now, the Virginia Declaration of Rights was from the state of Virginia. Sort of as we have now the Bill of Rights in the Constitution, Virginia had their Declaration of Rights. The Fundamental Orders of Connecticut. Connecticut was another of the early states, and they had their procedures written out that they followed in their state government. Those were also consulted. Even going back to the Mayflower Compact. The Mayflower was a boat that brought some of the religious settlers from England to the United States, or to America. There wasn't the United States yet. And they were founding a colony when they got here. And while they were on the boat, they had some disagreements. And so they wrote a document. They called it the Mayflower Compact. Mayflower was the name of the boat they were on, and that was to govern the way that they interacted with one another while they were on the boat and after they arrived and established their colony. Now here's another one, the Iroquois Great Law of Peace. The Iroquois was a Native American or Indian tribe that included many different groups or bands, and they also had an agreement about how they would interact and survive together and next to each other and without going to war. So that was also an influence on the writing of the Constitution. Next question. There are 3 branches of government. Why? Say the answer if you know it. There are 3 branches of government. Why? Notice here that the why comes at the end. So when you hear them say the phrase 3 branches of government, don't just say judicial or executive or whatever without listening to the whole question, because they're not asking you in this question to name one of them. They're asking you, why are there 3? And there are several choices of correct answers that you could give, so that one part does not become too powerful. Checks and balances, which is a technical phrase, sort of meaning the same thing. It means that there is balance between the different branches of government. None have all the power, and there are checks. That means that the different branches have some ways of limiting the power of the others. Separation of powers, a well-known phrase. Again, it just means that the powers are divided. From there, that's a good spot to move on to the section, which is probably the largest section in the questions of civics. That's on the system of government. Several times, I'll show you this illustration that is a good review, I think, a good reminder that at the top is the Constitution. Okay, every branch of the government is supposed to follow the Constitution. Now, the federal government, meaning the national government, is divided into 3 branches. We have the legislative branch that makes the laws. It's primarily made up of Congress, which has 2 parts, the House of Representatives and the Senate. Another branch of the government is the executive branch. It's made up primarily of the president, the vice president, and the other cabinet members, those who advise the president and lead the various executive offices. The executive branch executes or enforces the law. And then the judicial branch is made up primarily of the Supreme Court and the other federal courts. Their main job is to interpret the law. And the states also have certain powers, but right here we're focusing on the federal government, the national government. All right, so first question from this section, name the 3 branches of government. Say the answer if you know it. Name the three branches of the government. So here, they do want you to say the names of the branches of the government. And they want all three of them, not just one. Okay, do you remember them? There are two ways that they will accept to say any of them. But they're made up of the legislative, the executive, and the judicial. And you might remember that the legislative branch is Congress. The executive branch is primarily led by the president, and the judicial branch is made up of the Supreme Court and the federal courts. So you can answer this either way. You could say legislative, executive, and judicial, or you can say what they are made of: Congress, the president, and the courts. Either answer is correct, but you must give all three. All right, next question. The President of the United States is in charge of which branch of the government? Say it if you know it. I hope you know it. We've just mentioned it twice. The President of the branch is in charge of which branch of the government? The executive branch. The executive branch because they execute or carry out or enforce the law. Next question. Which part of the federal government writes the laws? Say it if you know, or if you remember. What part of the government writes the laws? It's not the president. Who makes the laws? The president is supposed to enforce the laws. Congress writes the laws. Or you could call them the legislature, okay, or the legislative branch. Any of those are correct. Next question. What are the two parts of Congress? Say it if you know. We mentioned it a few minutes ago when we were looking at the illustration at the beginning of this section. What are the two parts of Congress? We have the Senate, and we have the House. Now remember, things in parentheses are optional. So you can say the full name, the House of Representatives, but it's fine to just say the Senate and the House. Now do not confuse the Senate and the House with the two main political parties, Republicans and Democrats. That is a different thing. The two parts of Congress are the Senate and the House. Okay, next question. Tell me one power of Congress. Say it if you know. There are multiple options. Tell me one power of the Congress. So when it tells you that it wants one of something, you know there's more than one possible correct answer, but you only need to learn one. So what can Congress do? Congress writes the laws. Congress has the power to declare war. And that way, if Congress agrees to declare war, then it's more likely that the people will be supporting that. Congress makes the federal budget. The budget is the money plan, what they're going to spend every year. Now, the president actually makes recommendations, but the Congress makes the budget. Okay, next question. How many senators are there? Say it if you know it. I think this is an easy one. How many senators are there? 100. There is one, there are, let me erase that. There are 2 for each state. For a total of 100 senators. Next question. How long is a term for a U.S. senator? How long is a term for a U.S. senator? In other words, how long do they stay in their office before they have to leave or be reelected? Say the answer if you know it. 6 years, a senator. Now, this is one that you will have to look up, depending on where you live. The next question is, who is one of your state's United U.S. senators now? Okay. Who is one of your state's U.S. senators now? This changes every 6 years. At the end of their cycle, or if one dies or resigns. Right now, in Arizona, in August 2026, one of them is Mark Kelly, and the other one is Ruben Gallego. That's Arizona 2026. This is where I'm sitting while I'm recording this. But this can change. You should go to Google, for example, and ask the question. If you live in Idaho, go to Google and write, who are the United States senators from Idaho? And get your answer and remember it. And if you're studying this test in the future, also remember that those could change. So you will need to check to find the answers for your state in your time. Okay. And I've inserted a link here, study materials for test updates. So that's on the official USCIS web page. When there are changes, then you can look there. But you won't find the senators there because those are different for every state. But just in general, it's a good idea to see if any of the answers have changed before you have your interview. All right, next question. How many voting members are there in the House of Representatives? Say it if you know. How many voting members are there in the House of Representatives? If you said 435, you're correct. The reason they say voting members is because the United States territories also have representatives, but they don't. They can speak, but they don't have a vote. So the question is, how many voting members are there? And it's always 435. And after every census, every 10 years, they count the populations of the states. And if some states have grown in population relative to others, the number of representatives they have might go up or down. But the total is always 435. All right, next question. How long is a term for a member of the House of Representatives? How long is a term for a member of the House of Representatives? Now, this is going to be different. You have to pay attention. The House of Representatives is 2 years. The Senate was 6 years. House of Representatives is 2 years. Now, I wanted to show you some study resources that you can look at. This is a link to one of the official study guides from USCIS. It has a lot of good information in it, and it includes the test questions. Okay. This next link is to a nonprofit organization. It includes translations of the tests in multiple languages. And the old version of the test, the one with 100 questions, is also there for those who qualify. And finally, that same nonprofit organization has a section, and this is a link directly to this section, information about preparing and submitting your application. And remember, if your case has complex issues, consult an immigration attorney before you apply. Many form preparers are not attorneys and are not qualified to to answer legal questions. So if you have complex issues, maybe previous marriages, and you're not sure if they were properly terminated, maybe arrests or charges, and you're not sure if they disqualify you or if they were completely resolved, maybe previous detentions or deportations, and you need to make sure whether those impact you or not. Maybe information that was not discussed at your green card interview, but you are afraid it might be a problem now. Anything complicated like that, just do what you need to do, but see an actual attorney. And at the end of the N400 review that I haven't put up yet, but it will be soon, I have a link to the American Immigration Lawyers Association, which you can use to help you find an immigration attorney if you don't have one already. But appreciate you coming back today to keep studying and keep on studying. In every class, we not only practice the questions, but I try to give you helpful tips to prepare you. And so keep reviewing, keep practicing, and good luck.